Sunday. Showers and storms a good bet by the afternoon. On WPTV First Alert, meteorologist Steve Weedle for WSTU 1450. Martin County's Heritage Station.
There's magic at the Martin County Fair. A fun family entertainment with comedy, skits, games, music, and of course magic. In the infield at Martin County Fair from February 9th through the 17th.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Ayo, everybody. You are listening to WSTU 1450 Treasure Coast Forum. I'm Amira Meehan, and I am here with Mr. Frank Metzapelli.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Ayo. Where'd you
Yeah.
Where'd you come by?
My generation.
Ayo.
We say Ayo. I say Ayo too. Sometimes.
Ayo.
Instead of just saying yo, it's Ayo. Instead of just saying yo.
Oh.
You also say, you know, bruh. Remember we talked about the difference between bro and bruh?
Yes.
Or like it's like, when all those new broadcasters said that Putin was sick, but he wasn't sick at all.
Right.
Like in his deathbed, but he wasn't. You'd
Right.
be like, bruh. But
Bruh.
instead you could also say, hey yo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, in
Both
Philadelphia,
reactions
they
are
go,
valid.
from the Rocky movies, they go, yo.
Yeah. Well,
Just
we go,
yo.
we
That
go,
was just-
ayo.
Ayo. But Rocky would just say, yo.
Yeah.
Yo, Adrian.
That was
yo.
like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
50 years ago.
It's like yesterday for me. it's just a tick of the watch.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to talk about the incredible interview that took place between
Tucker Carlson and
Tucker
Vladimir
Carlson
Putin.
and he flew to Moscow.
Oh yeah, it was 2.5 hours long. It was like a 1960s historical epic.
So I love the story.
Mm-hmm.
The interview is a great story, but there's a story behind the
story.
story.
Yeah.
And how he was able to get to that interview
Mm-hmm.
is a story all into itself.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, when he was employed at Fox,
Mm-hmm.
he tried to get that interview and he got called upstairs. So two things happened. First of all, the NSA was listening in on his private phone conversations, which they're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And texting and all that. And because he saw transcripts of stuff that it was all private and it was all in the government hands. And he says, that's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when it kind of tipped him wise that, whoa, when Trump said things like, they're spying on me, Tucker Carlson's going, well, yeah, I've seen it happen. It's
Mm-hmm.
happened to me.
Yeah.
So anyways, so he got called into the office, as I understand the story, at Fox. And when they heard that he was attempting to fly to Moscow to do this interview, and they talked him off the ledge, they said, no, at that time, Chris Wallace, Mike Wallace's son, who was with Fox at that time, he said, no, that if anybody's going to do that interview, it'll be Wallace. You won't get that. So he had to step back from that. But so that was kind of interesting. And then, so there's a whole spat between Mike Wallace now. I mean, not Mike Wallace, but Chris Wallace and Tucker Carlson. He calls Wallace a fussy little man.
Does this have anything to do with Tucker getting fired later, or did he get fired for other things too? Or did this just build up tensions with him and Fox?
He's not sure. He said they never really disclosed why. They just asked him
to not do it,
to not come. So they paid his contract.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't get fired in the sense
he was
of
just threatened.
No, they just said don't come to work. Don't
just
come
discouraged.
to work. Don't come to work anymore.
Oh,
but they continued to pay his contract.
Oh.
When he was
so
when
they
he left.
wanted to pay his silence or something like that, maybe?
No. He had a contract with him.
Uh-huh.
They just didn't want him on the air anymore.
Oh,
And so
but isn't it in the contract that he needs to go on air though?
No.
Isn't that part of the contract? The
No.
contract is just payment.
You work at the
Mhm.
company's behest. So when they say yes, no,
But then why do they keep paying it?
because they had a contract for him, and
Oh.
and in the contract they said we will pay you X amount of dollars for this period of time, and so they honored that part of their contract with him. And there were some other nuanced things. He couldn't leave to go, and by paying him, he could not go work for another station. For example, he couldn't go to CNN or MSNBC.
Again,
or,
it sounds like they were buying his silence as well.
No, it's part of the every news organization has this similar process. So it was kind of a boilerplate, I think, as far as that part goes. Anyways, but go on. I just want to kind of give
Oh, yeah, no,
a
that
little bit
was
of background.
interesting.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Hmm.
Anyway, so in the beginning of the interview, I watched, I think, an hour of it. So I watched about a half, and then I watched this other really cool guy who kind of narrowed it down and touched the big points, and then he
Yes.
fact checked stuff.
Right.
Anyway, so he's Meet Kevin. He's on YouTube. He does amazing videos. I recommend him.
I know which one you're talking about. Yes.
You know Meet Kevin?
Mhm,
Oh yeah, he's
mhm,
cool.
mhm.
Anyway, so it all starts. Putin starts with the history.
Yes.
He goes all the way to like medieval times.
It was a 30-minute dissertation.
I know.
Yeah.
And at first, it sounds like he's just trying to dodge everything
Right.
and just find a way to blame everybody else about this except him.
Right.
And then, so he establishes like the tensions between, Ukraine is rightfully our land. Boom. We're all like under the same religion. They're Orthodox Catholics, just like us Russians and stuff. And he's like, religion will unite us all because we all have the same hearts. He says something like that.
Hmm.
And so that was the thing.
Yeah.
And then when he was asked why he was prompted to invade Ukraine, he felt that Russia was in danger. I mean, makes sense. So that takes away the whole thing about the American media, of course, with the propaganda war, has painted him as just this warmongering a-hole
Hmm.
that is just greedy and just evil, period. But it never really revealed why. So I always doubted it because I'm like,
well,
for a while, like, why did he attack all of a sudden? You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, I don't think he's a warmongering person to be attacked all of a sudden after so many years.
Well, he had an understanding of the Minsk Accords.
Yeah. So there were a bunch of things that led to that stuff.
Mhm.
So when the Soviet Union fell, there's like an agreement that he didn't want NATO to expand eastward because then
That's
he
right.
would feel
That was
in
his-
danger.
That was his red line.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
was his red line. There was agreement, and then the U.S. is like, okay, we won't do it, and then they kept expanding eastward.
Right.
And then even with Ukraine, there was this one president who was like, okay, I'm gonna join the EU, and then Russia's like, no, this would mess up our free trade. We would have to close our borders. Ew, don't do it. Right. And as soon as the president of Ukraine is like, oh, okay, fine, I'll side with you, Russia. As soon as that happens, there's a coup d'etat. Right there. As soon as that happens, there's a coup d'etat. And Putin believes the CIA funded this. And this isn't the first. Like in the Cold War, the CIA did all sorts of stuff with proxy wars, funding coup d'etat. So it doesn't sound like out of pocket.
Right.
It's not really an out of pocket accusation. We've done it before. Why wouldn't we do it again? So then another thing, Putin talks about I don't know how he says
Yes,
it, but
denazification.
denazification
Hmm.
of Ukraine.
Right.
So
Which is-
Zelensky himself is
kind-
Jewish. I
right.
know.
Yeah.
And there's so many Jews that live there.
Yeah.
Sure, there are a couple of monuments that are a little Nazi,
Right.
but at the same time, I mean, every country in the world has like a type of monument that we aren't exactly
So,
proud of. You could argue that every single monument of every single figure we have is
What-
controversial.
What Putin is hanging his hat on, there is a specific region of Ukraine
Mhm.
that has a militia group that are pro-Nazi.
Yeah.
They're legit, you
Yeah.
know, and but they're fighting on behalf of Ukraine because they believe that the Ukraine war, as far as protecting Ukraine against Russia, is just.
Mhm.
So Ukraine is not. They're turning a blind eye to the whole Nazi thing because they're fighting and they're arm in arm with the rest of the other Ukrainians that are fighting against the Russians. So
Mhm.
that's a little interesting aside. But that's where that whole Nazification thing. Then that's
Yeah.
just a small militia group.
Yeah. I remember
Anyways.
like one of the Nazis went to like the Canadian Parliament and
Okay.
one of them, he was like 98
God love him.
and
All
he
right.
he worked for the SS
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and he spoke
The
at the Parliament
Gestapo,
and
Yeah.
people gave him standing ovation twice.
which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
of
know.
that, I heard that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah.
It sounds like
It's,
someone made that up.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
It does.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's a little too out of pocket for me.
Yeah,
But
right.
anyway. Then there were a bunch of other things. There's one time he was with Bush and they were even talking about maybe Russia joining NATO
That's right.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And Bush was like, yeah, sure. And they vibed and Bush was friendly and Putin was friendly. And then this nods to how the president of the United States is basically just a figurehead and doesn't really run the country because it never happened.
Right.
Why? Because of the civil service, because of the bureaucracy,
Mhm.
some weird stuff going on under the table that stopped it from happening. And they literally just ghosted Putin just like that. And then
Right.
they kept expanding eastward, which of course freaked him out because then they were going to put military bases in those areas. Well, they'll be allowed to, and they'd be able to move weapons around right next to Russia's cheek. So yeah, that concerned Putin, which
Mhm.
makes sense. And then again, when Tucker Carlson asked Putin about Biden, literally Putin 100% flat out said Biden doesn't run the country anyway, so why am I concerned about him?
Right.
Literally. So Putin literally exposed everything. And then he said that why is the US so interested in protecting Ukraine's border when it can't even protect its own?
Right.
So Putin is literally saying everything that a lot of Republicans say against what's going on in the
Yeah.
government right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you watched a good part of it. Yeah, that's pretty good. So what was your big takeaway?
My big takeaway is that the propaganda war is insane and that our media is absolutely crazy sometimes. And the media is just trying to weaponize, like it uses people's brains to kind of like weaponize a whole nation
Yeah.
into securing votes and securing support for just a few weird, twisted people to do whatever they want, to pull any strings they want in the US to, do stuff.
And Hillary Clinton referred to Tucker Carlson as a useful idiot. Did you hear that? There was an interesting Google that interview that she after the Putin Carlson interview. Then Hillary was interviewed and at a friendly network, and she says, "Oh yes, she's Tucker Carlson is just a useful idiot for the Kremlin." So I thought that was kind of an interesting.
A useful idiot for the Kremlin. I know a lot of. I read a lot of CNN articles. Everyone's thinking that the Kremlin and the Republican Party are like together, and that they're trying to make a propaganda war by doing this interview and trying to demonize the Democratic Party. It's ridiculous. Everyone's against each other. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like forget. I don't even think this is about Ukraine and Russia anymore. I seriously don't think it's just about Ukraine and Russia.
Right.
I feel like
Things
we're
are
just
really
as crazy.
kind of devolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember Tucker Carlson towards the end asked about the Wall Street journalist that Putin has.
Yes.
In captive. Yeah, he has in captive.
Right.
Putin's not going to release him because Putin claims that he caught the guy red-handed doing espionage.
Right.
So that was that.
Yes.
Pretty wild if he was like, oh, okay, I'd give him to you. Tucker Carlson would have came back with like 10 medals or something.
Right.
That would have been wild.
But he said so apparently this reporter is like a 22-year-old kid.
Yeah, like a 30-year-old.
No, he's really young.
Oh, okay.
And not hasn't received any formal spy training.
Yeah, there's a possibility that maybe the kid got cocky and got in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it just looks bad for him.
That's even Putin admitted as much. He says,
Yeah.
look, it could be that this guy doesn't know anything, but he did things that we think
That is
sus-
suspicious.
right.
Yeah.
And of course, when you have a totalitarian society
Hmm.
and one guy pretty much tells people what to do, and so it's a bargaining chip as much as anything else for him.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing for him to benefit to letting that guy go, even though he rightfully should, because the kid didn't do anything really. But
And as negotiations go, Putin said that he was ready with the Minsk agreements, but like
right,
Ukraine didn't really do anything with it.
right,
And then there were like a bunch of other Western countries be like, no, don't do it. And then Ukraine didn't do it. And some people even speculate that Ukraine decided to just use it as a little buffer to buy some time to rearm. Some people say that.
hmm
So
well, because they lost Crimea
Yeah.
in 2014,
yeah.
and Crimea was a big get for
Yeah.
Russia.
So many resources.
Not only the resources, it's the strategic location of
Yeah.
Crimea. It gives them more navigable waters
Hmm.
and things of that sort. So Russia's not really they're not the put upon poor me,
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
that they
'Cause
portray
at the same
themselves
time-
to be.
At the same time,
Right.
Putin didn't really have to just full on invade Ukraine.
That's right.
Because he's still like 50% responsible, even though like he's like, NATO did this to me, Bush did this to me, the CIA did this to me,
Right.
NATO did this to me.
How
He
about
still did that to Ukraine.
right. And how about the people that politically he didn't agree with that, decided to
Oh yeah,
try
and
to-
what he does to Russia as well.
well, about people that his political adversaries that
Mhm.
learn how to fly from the 6th floor of various office buildings, not very successfully, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, that happens, so
Mhm.
he's not really
He's
the
not really the most reliable source.
no, and he's not really
Yeah.
the stalwart,
Yeah, no,
rah rah rah. No.
no,
Yeah.
definitely not.
So
Do I agree with what he thinks about the United States? Absolutely.
Yeah.
We definitely have.
he's
all
got
those
he's
problems.
got a solid read on
Yeah.
the United States.
But that
Good.
doesn't make him
He's-
a saint all of a sudden.
Right. He's got a solid read because he's a former KGB guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was his formal
And then he bashed Tucker for applying for the CIA. Like he subtly was like,
Right.
I remember when you tried to apply,
yeah,
and Tucker just his face went white.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
he did, but he's
Mhm.
freely mentioned that he
Mhm.
applied as a kid.
Yeah.
He wanted, and of course they didn't accept him.
Hmm.
And he says, and he was happier for it.
Mhm.
He's glad it didn't work out. But his dad worked for the State Department,
Hmm.
and so he just figured, well, okay, I'll try this job. It could be kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Travel the world, do things, go places. So, but again, as a kid coming out of college, that's just sound like a fun opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Any American kid would be like, the CIA, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but so I think that, so those are the things that, in the parlance of verbal chess, that was just one of the moves that Putin had to be able to, put Carlson on the defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of an interesting chess move that way,
Mhm.
verbally,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? So and Carlson could have come back with, yeah, and you made your bones in the KGB.
KGB, exactly.
So it's like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about here? So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but again, it was Carlson was smart in the sense that he didn't want to make the interview about himself. He wanted
Yeah.
just to.
Putin talked most of the time.
He just wanted to hear the guy
He
talk.
let Putin do a 30-minute spiel about what happened 300 years ago.
And he even tried to interrupt him a little bit because
A little bit sometimes, but then
Right.
Putin interrupted
Because
him back.
right, because he wanted to
Make his
move.
point.
Well, he wanted to move on with the interview
Yeah.
as far as he didn't want to get into a big diatribe, a history lesson,
Yeah.
But
And Putin gave him a whole big file.
Yeah.
at the beginning. He gave him a whole file. It's like, if you don't believe me, look up the history.
Yeah.
Which is, again, that file, who knows what happened in that file. It
Well,
probably is messed up. Another thing Putin keeps talking about, again, I'm not saying that American media is amazing,
Right.
but the fact that Putin can say that we have a propaganda war, whereas what's going on with Russia with censorship.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. People are like, they're doing X-rays on vinyls to try to get information, just like they kind of did it on the Soviet Union. Facebook has created like secret accounts that people could go into. Then there's people hiding stuff in pillowcases, and yeah, no, we're not there.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just a bunch of BS on both sides.
Right.
It just, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, wait, so Putin ain't just evil, we're evil too. Great.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That was a takeaway.
That was the biggest takeaway for
Yeah.
you.
Where everyone is guilty.
Right.
Everyone's an idiot.
Everybody's got skeletons in their closets.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And Ukraine has got some problems. They probably historically have a lot of issues with government theft.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of the Republicans in Congress have a real problem with just writing them a blank check for the war. Well, because there's no accounting. Where's this money going?
Exactly.
And if we're going to give our hard-earned money that we have to borrow from the Chinese,
and we're already in debt.
Right.
We're already in debt.
Yeah, but 34. I thought it was 33, but I understand it's 34 trillion now.
34 trillion?
Yes.
Just for Ukraine?
No.
Oh yeah, in debt.
Total,
yeah,
our
34
total
trillion.
debt, or yes, our
For
national
a second,
debt.
I'm like, wait, but that for a second I got confused. I'm like, that's our debt. There's no way we're giving Ukraine our debt.
But you got to remember now,
Mhm.
this is the debt that's on the books.
Yeah.
What about our black projects? The debt that's
Not on
off the books.
Yeah.
So even like the
at the same time, though, we are kind of like the people who we're kind of like the chief debtor of the world as well.
Yeah.
At the same time, so Putin did actually acknowledge this, that we have like that advantage with the revenue and all that money, and
sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's an undeniable fact that
that we're just gonna keep printing and do whatever the hell we want.
Well, we still have the global currency, you know, and oil is, as long as oil is traded in U.S. dollars, Russia's going to have a tough go.
Yep.
You know, and the EU made it so that people can buy Russian oil if they want, but the only price that they could pay for it would be $60 a barrel. Right now, oil is selling for in the high 70s, I think 78, something like that, a barrel, and that's what it's paid. What normal people would pay on the spot market, but Russian oil doesn't get tossed. It's segregated off the spot market, and
Yikes.
and so you can buy it. And,
but why would you?
Well, that's it. But they can, no matter what you pay for it, they only get $60 a barrel. Which and if they're going to sell it, like India is a good customer for Russia, and so is North Korea and in China, and but they're buying it even at a deeper discount.
Yep.
But they're getting bigger contracts. So and so it's just so many strange things, like the oil pipeline that blew up, and
there's 4, and one of them has been shut down offline for some reason. Another one is damaged, and then 2 of them are they're just going. And then Putin blamed the U.S. for destroying it.
Yes, and there's some legitimate argument for that.
Yeah.
Because Russia would not have a reason to destroy it, because it would only be harming themselves.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, and there's very few companies or countries that have the technical wherewithal or the capability.
Just the U.S. pretty much. So we probably did that to Russia.
It's a possibility. Well, it's that mystical, magical time once again. We're going to take a regulation timeout, but we'll be right back, so stick with us. We have much more to cover when we return. Stick with us.
peace of mind, navigate your retirement smoothly, and have more time to spend with family and doing the things you love. We gotta talk to these guys.
A properly managed, income-oriented portfolio can successfully seek to deliver both short-term and long-term return outperformance to help solve most challenges investors face when investing for a more successful, sustainable retirement. If you'd like more information about Peak Capital Management, your retirement income source right here on the Treasure Coast, call 772-334-9592 or visit peakcapitalmanagement.net. The retirement income source. Assets make things possible. Income makes things happen.
Have you been wondering what your valuables are worth? Bring them to St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin, and their friendly staff will tell you, and they'll pay you top dollar. Hi, it's Evan Nine from the Morning Show, and I can personally tell you from experience that St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin is the place to go for all your jewelry needs.
Hi, this is Hawk Levy from St. Lucie Jewelry and Coins. I want to tell you all thank you for voting us #1 again. Best jewelry and coin dealer, best gold and silver buyer, and best jewelry store.
You know the demand has never been more for fine jewelry, signed jewelry pieces, coins, coin collections, paper money, Rolex, and all luxury watches, even designer purses. You ask why you should sell to St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin? It's real simple. They buy your jewelry as jewelry and not scrap. They resell everything on the international auction platform and in their local store. St. Lucie Jewelry does free confidential appraisals and house calls as well. St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin, located at US 1 and Walton Road in the Publix Plaza.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
Here comes the sun.
Isn't that nice?
Here comes the sun.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Any particular reason why we're playing this? Or
Well,
just the
you know,
sun?
actually, I saw the sun today, which was kind of nice. So, so
Whoa.
it's, you know,
You
yeah.
saw it today?
Wow. Yeah. I looked up in the sky and I go, what is that yellow ball hanging in the sky? Wow. Nice.
That
Yeah.
sounds like something an iPad kid would actually say and genuinely be surprised to hear.
Yeah. Right. But yeah. So, anyways, it's just it's kind of a fun. Yeah. That's one of, well, so this is a remix from 2019, but this is a Beatles song that goes back.
Yeah, 1969, Abbey
Yeah.
Road.
Mm-hmm. I knew you would know.
I went through a whole Beatle phase in middle school.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I remember I got like the 50th anniversary vinyl
Now,
when
you,
it came
you
out.
know the other group that he formed after the Beatles?
Was it Traveling Wilburys or something like that?
No, it was called Wings.
Oh, that's Paul.
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney
That's
did
what I
that.
said.
I thought you said George Harrison because
No.
George is the one who wrote it.
Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah, George
Yes,
wrote it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's Paul's voice, I think. Was that George?
No, that's George's voice. Yeah.
Okay. You know, his son sounds just like him. Was it
Donnie Harrison?
Yeah.
Danny Harrison? That's cool.
Yeah. And then, yeah. Anyways, Ringo, I think, still with us, right?
He still does stuff.
God, like, him and Bill Shatner are still banging it. They're still doing stuff.
Yeah. It's why Paul McCartney's also still doing stuff, but
Yeah.
Paul can't sing anymore.
No. He just does interviews.
People just don't know. He sells stadiums.
Yeah.
People still go.
Yeah.
I think because he gets a lot of other stars to be with him.
Right. A lot of backup stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure he tells stories.
Oh, yeah.
And
And his bass playing is really good.
Yeah.
Especially on Paperback Writer. Like that was amazing bass line for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you look at the stuff before they even released Beatles stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like 1962 or whatever, you'll find in like Beatles Anthology, which will have recordings like before that were never released on albums and stuff of covers of 50 songs. The bass is insane. He can do Latin bass. He can do anything.
Pretty
really
cool.
talented. Yeah.
Okay, so good. So that was our little rejoiner. But so now we're back, and there's a bunch of very heated testimony going on in Georgia right now, and the district attorney Willis gives combative testimony about his relationship with the Trump prosecutor Fanny. So she is accused of taking government money, state government money, and giving her boyfriend there were 3 attorneys that were hired on this prosecutorial case against Trump, which is a state case. And so what makes this so pivotal or important on the merits of the case, whether if it's successful, a federal pardon won't touch it. So if there's jail time, Trump's got to go to jail.
Yeah. Wait, could he be president but still in jail? Like, could he be president in jail?
There's nothing saying it can't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, even if he doesn't get pardoned, he's still in jail. Could he still be officially president if no one does anything?
Yeah, he may actually have to turn over the day-to-day activities to the vice president until he's released from jail.
But will the secretary or the CIA or whatever go in and look
Secret
at this
Service?
paper, or they bring legislation and he's vetoing stuff inside his cell?
No, I think he'd have to. I don't know. We've never been there before.
This would be crazy.
We've never been there before, but I would suspect in order for the fluidity of government to continue,
he would be vetoing stuff.
He would likely hand the reins over to the vice president on a temporary basis until he is satisfied the statutory requirement.
Or he's resigned, or he's been fully impeached and taken out.
Right. So that's just my,
I'd still
my
like
take
to.
on it.
I still like to hear a whole thing about Trump just being president but inside a cell.
That would be wacky. But Anyways, so it's pretty wild. But so anyways, so when they were ginning up for this prosecutorial case against Trump, Fannie Willis decided she was going to hire 3 attorneys to help with this case. So she had a lover boyfriend who was married at the time.
Oh, this is a perfect story for Valentine's Day.
Right. No, what can go wrong? And she paid him more money than the other 2 attorneys. They got the standard wage.
How romantic.
Well, yeah, of course. And then she took getaway vacations with her lover boyfriend.
State funds, right?
With the state funds.
Why couldn't she use her own funds, her own money?
Well, she said that he paid for the trips, but she said she reimbursed him back in cash. So they can't trace the cash. So it's like, why would you have thousands of dollars in your pocket in cash anyways?
Yeah.
And why?
Why?
Yeah.
For a date.
So
for a honeymoon.
So just between you and me, and I know nobody else is listening in, but just between you.
Oh yeah, because
right?
No one's on the radio.
Right. So, but just between you and me, I'm thinking, if somebody is carrying around, the likelihood that this person is carrying around thousands of dollars in cash is probably not real.
Yeah.
It's just a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it's a lie to get around the fact that she's using state funds for personal use.
Yeah.
So, and really using her boyfriend as a way to filter that money back to her,
Why couldn't she just out of her own pocket pay for it?
They haven't dropped the case against Trump. So here's what can happen. They can pull her off the case.
They should.
Yes. Likely that will happen.
Mm-hmm.
They could go 2 different ways. They can hire a new prosecutor and then panel that prosecutor to again go after Trump if they feel there's a case there, or they can drop the case against Trump.
Drop the case.
So this is
They're probably going to get another
highly,
prosecutor.
yeah, I would suspect they would get another one if they can find. So the trick is to find another prosecutor that believes that they could successfully. You have to believe you can successfully prosecute a case
Yeah, in order to
before
prosecute a case.
in order to go forward.
Yeah.
You don't want to
They
take
need someone to
no
take
prosecutor
that's on
wants
their
to take
side.
on a
They need
losing
someone
case.
at their level of crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody that has a cleaner background than this Fannie Willis does.
This sounds like a perfect opportunity for affirmative action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like affirmative reaction anyways. So it's a very, very, very difficult. Here's a very sad story coming out of Minnesota. The city of Minnesota City, and I'm not sure which one because I won't click on the link because I don't know what that'll hyperlink me to. Okay. But this is according to Fox News. Minnesota City has voted to disband the police force as staffing and budgeting shortfalls take a toll. So they've run out of money in this city to pay for the police. So
A city
an entire city.
running out of money for police.
Yep. So
is this going to be the purge? Is there going to be a purge?
No purge. Just lock the doors. Go home. Turn in your keys.
The purge. That sounds like the purge.
Is that what it is?
You know what the purge is, right?
No,
Where there's like no laws, everyone could just go and do whatever the hell they
Oh,
want.
the laws are still there. It's just
Yeah, I
nobody
know. It's just
there.
no one's going to enforce it. So they're pretty much to crazy people. They don't exist.
Right.
The consequences don't. So
Yeah.
that sounds pretty scary. I would leave that city as soon as possible.
Yes. Yes. So there's a new lawsuit. You know, this is a story that just will not go away. Jeffrey Epstein accusers drop sex trafficking surveillance bombshell in a new lawsuit. So that'll be interesting to
Oh
see.
my God! Wait, when did the Epstein thing start again? Because
Oh my
I think I've been alive like the whole time I've been alive.
Oh,
It's been
I'm just about done with the book. I'm reading about this. It's
Uh-huh.
a fascinating story.
Uh-huh.
The book starts in Palm Beach.
Uh-huh.
And it's woven through all the ins and outs of all the socialite activities and characters that Jeffrey Epstein has worked with over the years. Fascinating book. I'm just about done with it. When I'm done with it, I'm happy to loan it to you. And it's a quick read. And wow, it'll give you kind of the creepy chills.
That's insane. Wasn't Stephen Hawking on the Epstein Island?
I don't think so. I mean,
someone said that Stephen Hawking was
I
on
can't
there.
imagine. I mean, other than just being, what would he do?
The thing is, again, another guy, there was this guy who tweeted saying, if you were molested by Stephen Hawking, it's kind of your fault.
Right.
It's just very true.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I don't know. Maybe Stephen Hawking, again, if Stephen Hawking was there, maybe it wasn't his fault that he was there. Maybe like he accidentally went on the wrong plane. Or
well, no, I mean he went as there's a lot of people just went as tourists and went
didn't know what was going on.
Right. And yes.
Wasn't Bill Clinton there?
Many times.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah. What was he doing there?
Nobody knows.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's no paperwork.
Cool.
No paperwork. It all got destroyed. So oops.
So was it really just like a crazy sex island, or were there other things going on?
I think I don't know. Nobody really knows.
Read the book though.
We're not talking about the book. We're just talking about Jeffrey Epstein and not the island. We're talking about him as a character, cult of personality, and some of the people that he interacted with, and his girlfriend who stayed with him, and she's in jail right now, by the way. But yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
She has a horrible taste in men. She deserves to be in jail.
Yeah. A guy by the name of Manchin, who is the senator from West Virginia.
No.
So he's floating 2 names for potential running mate as he is flirting with a third party run. So Joe Manchin wants to run for president under the third.
Which
party.
third party? Independent, Green.
I'm thinking he's looking at independent or who's that?
Have
I
you
think
seen the
John,
Robin Williams
not
movie?
John, was it Robert Kennedy Jr. is looking to go on the, and is he's looking to be independent?
Robert Kennedy Jr.? I
Yeah.
have no idea.
I think he decided he was going to go on the independent
Mhm.
ticket. And I think there's just I think it's referred to as a third party.
Yeah,
Just
it is. But have you seen the Robin Williams movie Man of the Year?
maybe.
It's so good.
Maybe.
So Robin Williams is this comedian, and he
Mhm.
decides to run for president as a joke, and he's a third party member.
Hmm.
And there was some government corruption going on with a new electoral system that was through this online thingy. It's
Mhm.
supposed to make ballots easier to cast. So then people
Mhm.
were like, "Woohoo, we'll vote!" And then he became president.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he found out that it was corrupt, he tried to like expose them and say, "No, I'm not rightfully president." And then there was like a whole rabbit hole of craziness.
Oh no.
It's a good movie.
Okay. All right. Well, if my computer will work with me, and it's not, we're going to try to do our quarter before the hour break. And yeah, let's do that. So we won't be able to do our little Rocky and Bullwinkle thing. All right, we'll be right back. So stick with us. We have just a few more minutes when we return. Give us a call at 220-9788. Operators are standing by.
And now,
Hey, look, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
If your soil could talk, what would it say? If it's healthy, it may already be saying some good things about your future. Because farmers who use soil health building systems that include no-till, cover crops, and diverse species and rotations report greater productivity, profitability, and resiliency to weather extremes. Learn more about what your soil is saying about its health and your future. Contact your local USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service office today. This message brought to you by USDA and this radio station.
USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service this week announced the 2022 Census of Agriculture results. The information collected directly from producers shows a continued decline in the total number of U.S. farms. However, the data also shows a rise in the number of new and beginning farmers and young producers. New and beginning farmers are defined as those operating 10 or fewer years on any farm, and young producers are those under the age of 35. NASS Administrator Hubert Hammer says overall, though there are always changes across U.S. agriculture, the data remains largely consistent with the previous ag census. The data also shows that there are 1.9 million farms and ranches, down 7% from 2017, with an average size of 463 acres. That's up 5%. The leading ag-producing county in the nation is Fresno County of California, which ranks higher than 23 states. I'm Sabrina Hulverson for the Southeast AgNet.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
All right, we're back, and we have a little gaff-tastic stuff to talk about.
About Joe Biden.
Yes.
So within the last 10 years, 5 years, the president of Egypt is kind of like a dictator. He's like
Yes.
Alza, whatever, CC, whatever.
Al-Zawahiri, yeah.
So there's a
Mhm.
part of his name that if you word it differently, it would mean president of Mexico. It would mean Mexican in Egyptian. So a lot of Egyptians, when they talk about him and they don't want to be censored, they'll call him the Mexican so that they can say stuff and get away with it on Twitter or whatever while they call him out. So Biden had a legit gaffe the other week, bringing this meme to life, making it official when he was talking about how they were talking about Egypt and sending stuff to the Gaza.
Mhm.
He referred to the president of Egypt as a president of Mexico. So yeah, great gaffe.
Oh my God, that is priceless. I love it.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that. It was about the day before yesterday, I think.
Yeah, it was recent.
Yeah. Too funny. That is great.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Oh my God. And so an interesting aside to that whole dementia story is that they recently came out with a report on all the secret documents that were found in his garage and
Oh
a few
yeah.
other places. And they said even though it was prosecutable offenses, and he's definitely merits, that type of attention. They declined to prosecute because he
Too crazy.
he was not able to
Not fit.
answer the questions.
Yep.
He could not remember history, dates, and
They
times.
they
and
literally
things
just
of that.
admitted that he's not fit to be president because he's
Right.
mentally ill.
Yes. So it's very, very sad. Very sad
Yeah,
stuff.
it is.
On this date, Amira, another famous woman other than yourself was Susan B. Anthony, was born on this date, February 15th, 1820, in an age when women in the U.S. and the rest of the world were considered inferior to men. Most colleges weren't open to women. Many restaurants had signs saying no females allowed.
Okay, that's a little wild. I didn't know about that.
Husbands, by law, controlled their wives' property and any money that they may earn, and women could not hold most jobs in public offices or even vote.
Moral of the story: if you're a woman and you accidentally get transported back in time,
Right.
don't get married.
Okay. On election day in 1872, Susan B. Anthony showed up at a poll in Rochester, New York, and cast a vote for president. 2 weeks later, a marshal knocked on her door with a warrant for her arrest. At the trial, the judge prohibited her from speaking on her own behalf and ordered the jury to find her guilty.
Wait, what?
Yes.
That's not a trial.
Right?
That's not a trial.
This sounds like Russia.
That sounds like execution.
This
What?
sounds like Russia. So that at the trial, the judge prohibited her from speaking
She couldn't get a
on her own
counsel either?
behalf, ordered the jury to find her guilty for voting illegally, and the court fined Anthony $100. And she claimed that she would never pay her unjust penalty, and she didn't.
Nice.
She never
And
paid.
they did nothing about it.
No, well, what can they do?
Yeah, exactly. Order the jury again.
Right? Oh, I love that story. And St. Louis, Missouri was founded on this date in 1764. And Pennsylvania authorizes the very first printed election ballots in the United States on this date in 1799. How cool is that? And the USS Maine blows up in Havana Harbor, touching off the Spanish-American War. And here's an interesting one too. In 1933, on this date, because there's a backstory. You know me, I love the backstory, right?
Oh,
For
yeah,
me, the
the
backstory is
story.
everything, right?
The story for
The story behind the story.
Mhm.
And I got to find this because I pulled it up. Yes. Okay, here it is. In 1933, on this day, President-elect Franklin Roosevelt narrowly escapes an assassination attempt in Miami. You never knew about this, right?
No.
Me either. Turns out there's an Italian guy who he was an Italian immigrant who became a naturalized U.S. citizen, Giuseppe Zangara.
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe.
It's Giuseppe? That's how you
Giuseppe.
pronounce it?
Giuseppe. Giuseppe.
Giuseppe.
Yeah. And yes. Anyways, he attempted to assassinate the president. So he's obviously not a skilled.
No.
you
Because
know,
that guy lived
yeah.
for like serving 4 terms.
But
or
so
something.
think about the date, 1933.
Yeah.
Think
What
about
how did the guy try to do it? Did he like walk up to him with a
they
gun?
They
throw
don't
a
go.
bomb, or
No, this is according to Wikipedia. So
Wikipedia.
yeah,
It might not have ever happened.
it
Might have
wa-
been a rumor.
well, I don't know. It obviously happened, but anything you read in Wikipedia, you want to
Oh, Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember one time Wikipedia tried to argue that Freddie Mercury and George Washington were like somewhere and like on Freddie Mercury's mother's side, he was related to George Washington.
Oh my God.
Like the argument was so weird.
Mm.
I was in middle school and I saw it. I don't remember, but I just remember it being absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
So yeah, Wikipedia, no. Absolutely no.
Yes, I vote no on Wikipedia, but it's always fun to read some of their
Oh, yeah.
musings.
Yeah.
Yes. So you got some good news before you came into the studio today.
Oh, I got a brownie. You gave me a brownie.
No,
Thank
no,
you so
no,
much.
wait, yeah, no. Some good news from school.
The Kovner
Yes.
semifinal. Oh yeah, I'm a semifinalist for the Kovner scholarship.
So-
Yippee!
You explain to our listeners what that is.
It's a scholarship where the application process is very similar to the Ivy League application process. So most people who do get in or get the scholarship are projected to be Ivy League admittees too.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool. They also give you like college counseling and stuff.
Nice.
So
So you've
fun.
already picked out your school. You got some. You
I
got
think
some.
it's definitely. I think I might go for Columbia with the Ivy Leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, you know what's going on with the Ivy League right now.
Yes. But who knows? By the time
But-
you get there, they might be kind of cleaned
Yeah,
up
exactly.
a bit.
That's why.
That's what I'm
why I'm
thinking.
thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Right now it's bad, but it might get better later. So.
Yeah, because the spotlight is on them, right? So they got
Yeah.
to clean up their act.
And most of it is Harvard.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Nice. All right. Well, we have to. I don't know what is up with that button. We have to go,
Mhm.
but it's been a great show. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back again right here next week, right here at this time. Treasure Coast Forum, WSTU Radio. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.